Greetings, this is Warrior King, and the time has come for the lions and the lioness to tell their own story. This is the lion's voice. Give thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use I as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the powers to chant. Jah give her the powers to chant. Ras Tafari, the lion's voice.
This is Mama Thea of Asli Pure, and when I want to hear the story from the lion and the lioness, I listen to Lion Voice with Ras Bonsu.
Greetings, this is Scheril. The time has come for the lions to tell their own story. See? This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir? Scheril said that. Are you satisfied? Wipe those tears from your eyes. I'm all alone, still you thought I was telling a lie. This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir?
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the lion's voice.
Yes, chat people, this is Cashawn representing. I will say, hear the lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. But people, open your eyes, wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Ras Tafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Ras Tafari.
Alright, listen to me now, people. The lion roar, no dog bark. See? The lion's voice with Kwasi Bansu. Time right now for the lion to tell his story. See? Listen up.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up lion's voice. Now put it, I jolly for say that.
Yeah, now the time has come for the lion to tell his own story. Yeah, the one them called Celestial I represent for the mighty lion voice. And this a shook up your planet tectonic. As me sip up my roots and tectonic. And you can't make me jump nor get panic. Have the engine a run like mechanic. Room.
I will never stop, hail the Most High, and I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Yeah, David Dread of Steel Pulse, and I'm saying hail to the lion voice because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here. Hear me now. Oh, yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.
Ras Tafari, Emperor Haile Selassie the first. Tell the people about Empress Mene. Well, even if the stars they fall and the moon turn into blood, but to the coming war we stand tall. I will shower you start ball. Cause they see the city streets them flood. But when the hurricane blow down their wall, I'll be by your side and me nah budge. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine and unto I. Your love was a lifeline. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine and unto I. That light was a lifeline. It seems like the world is upside down. I will never hide, I'd rather stand my ground. Lion of Judah blessed with the triple crown. Can't come fool I with no circus clown. Now fear no hurricane or the cyclone. Respect for Mama Earth with that embedded on me bone. That's why I will never leave you alone. Protect you from harm when the alarm sound. So even when the stars they fall and the moon turn into blood, to the coming war we stand tall. I will shower you with my love. And even when the people start ball, cause they see their city streets them flood. When the hurricane blow down our wall, I'll be by your side and me nah budge. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. The Almighty, I made your light shine and unto I. Your light was a lifeline. I think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. The Almighty, I made your light shine and unto I. Your love was a lifeline. They say hurt people, maybe that's why Babylon them so evil. Maybe Babylon abused as a child. That's why them no like the light when you smile. That's why them no like how your body curve. The way how you dance get on Babylon nerve. Them don't know how the Almighty you serve. Want to be a queen, so a king you deserve.
What do you have to tell the people about Ras Tafari?
Light to the world. The king of kings and the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. I left himself. Where's my ruler? Hey yo! Yeah, hear them high, hear the black king on the 23rd of July. So tell them guy who praise God up in the sky, it's a lie. The Almighty living on your night. From ancient time them a try. Them Romans know them just open them suit and ties. Criminals ain't got no alibi, they stole my people. Then them bumps without them genocide.
Are you talking about slavery?
Them couldn't kill the lion where come conquer Judah tribe. Go through tribulation, I and I strive, see sufferation, I and I still rise. That's why we tell them in America, live Ras Tafari in every ghetto area. We come if you tell them in a Toronto, straight at it.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of His chosen Queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Chazmach Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man, creative industry attorney. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Talk Live. Welcome to Lion Talk Live and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story. Tonight, we have a powerful episode in the midst of the destruction caused by Hurricane Melissa, in the midst of the buildup for war in the Caribbean. I want to just take some time and focus the global family on something positive, a light in the darkness. We are going to talk about what has been built in Liate Wote in the Volta region. I'm saying that it's heaven on earth. I have a panel of guests who I think agree with I, including the executive director of Habisha, the man who conceived the vision and implemented the vision, you know. We're going to talk to him. Because this project, what am I talking about? First of all, I'm talking about the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute, 5-acre off-the-grid campus, working farm, river, you know, all of these different elements. And we're going to redefine what we think of when we say heaven. Because a lot of time when you say heaven, because of the Western colonialism, you're thinking clouds, you're thinking your honor, you know what I mean? It's pearly gates and these things. When for I and I, heaven is on the earth, you know what I mean? The great whalers, what did they say? Most people think great God will come from the sky, take away everything and make everybody feel high. But if you know what life was worth, you would look for yours on earth. Where did that come from? That's a Ras Tafari philosophy. However, you know, I think we have lost that passion for that mission of the creation of heaven on earth, that manifestation. So what I'm saying is that that manifestation has been created. So tonight we're not going to go in. We had 3 historic conferences in Ghana. We're not going to go into the technical parts of those conferences tonight. My panel tonight is strictly, we're going to be talking about the experience that they had about the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute in terms of it being a proof of concept. And why am I bringing this up? Also because as we build and rebuild in Jamaica throughout the Caribbean, we are saying, let us not build what was there before, but let us build in a futuristic, more dynamic way, a way that prepares us for the great repatriation centers where training is happening. This disaster gives us a great opportunity. So I want to make sure that we don't miss this opportunity. We are going to be doing a whole lot of content on the hurricane. We still don't have communication with some of our Rastafari family. We're very concerned, you know, it's dire on the ground. So our prayers go, hearts and minds. We will be assisting some fundraising. I have not come to the family yet because we don't want to come with something that's not fully developed. So when we come forward, we've been reasoning behind the scenes with different organizations. We want to have one Rastafari plan, or at least, you know, be connecting and working with the other Rastafari. This is an opportunity to really forge the unity. So once we kind of have a better understanding, then we will be doing a lot of content about Hurricane Melissa, what's happening with our family on the ground. And long after the hype is gone and people forget about the people of Jamaica, and in particular the Rastafari people, we will be highlighting and doing content, which is why Rastafari independent non-aligned media is so important, family. Make sure you support, go to the Patreon. We're pushing, we want 100 people in the Patreon, paid subscribers by December 1st. We're pushing. We're at 45. Give thanks to our Lion Pride and Patreon. They are the lifeblood of this. We are pushing for a crowd-funded independent media family. Why? Because that's the only way to truly stay independent. If you have sponsors, your sponsors are going to have undue influence. The purest media there is that is funded by the audience that it serves, because then we're accountable to the audience. So we're asking the global family, get off the fence. If we're talking about sovereignty, independence, we use these buzzwords. A robust, active media is essential. You know, I wish I had the funds right now to hire correspondents in Jamaica to go into some of the affected areas and bring us the footage so we can highlight and direct the capital where it needs to go. We don't have the resources. We're going to do the best that we can with what we have. But, you know, having the family fund the operation will allow us to be able to scale and to do more. So I'm appealing to the global family with sincerity. Please, you know what I mean, become a member of the Lion Pride and Patriot. I think we're the greatest online community. I'm biased though. I'm biased and I know who I am, but I still have to chant that. Big up to all of our sponsors. Ramia King Design. When you see I sipping water, is a Rastafari business that we're supporting. Big up brother Carl Philpotts. Make sure you support Frontline Books. All of our sponsors, make sure you support them, spend money with them. Let's circulate the Rastafari Pan-African dollar. If you have a business and you want to sponsor here, send us an email, send us a line. Let's do business. We are the fastest growing Rastafari platform on the planet. We remain so, and we're not going to stop. Trust me. All right. Housekeeping out of the way. Family, tonight, get your ital snacks. Get yourself together. We have a panel that has become a family. So you might see a lot of smiling. You might see a lot of laughter. Is because the family, trust me, the family is here, and we are ready to share what we have in the midst of the dire circumstances. We have some joy, some joy coming. So, family, let us introduce the panel, and I'm going to allow them. This is a legendary panel. I just want to say that too. It's a legendary panel. All right. We have with us the great Baba Malik Yakini. We have the great Sister Aisha. We have the great Ras Xola. But we're not done. We're not finished. We have the great Scheril Murray Powell. And last but not least, straight from Zion Gate, the great Binghi Sean, a.k.a. Cashawn Myers. Welcome, family. Let me unmute. I think I have to unmute everyone.
Peace,
unmute, unmute. Greetings.
Greetings, everyone.
Blessings. Yes.
Good to see everybody again.
Yes. It's a joy. Yes. It's a joy. So I want to do it like this. We're gonna start with Baba Malik. Everyone just give a quick introduction of themselves, who they are, the type of work that they're doing. And then we're gonna kick off this panel with Binghi Sean. It's, I think, 1 a.m. plus. So we're gonna get everything we can from my brethren so he can go to his bed. You understand? So but let's start with Baba Malik. Just give a quick introduction. Baba Malik, legend, elder musician, founder of the Detroit Black Food Co-op, one of the founders of the Black Food and Justice Alliance. So many accolades, but just give a quick introduction of your works.
Yeah, peace and blessings, family. It's an honor to be here. And I was one of the co-founders of the Detroit Black Community Food Sovereignty Network and one of the co-founders of the National Black Food and Justice Alliance. But I stepped down from my formal positions about a year ago. And so I'm in a kind of transitional period, moving from leading an organization to charting what the next part of my life is about. Okay. And I know for sure that food sovereignty work on the African continent, as well as throughout other parts of the African diaspora, is heavy in defining what this next period of my life looks like. So in that regard, the visit to Kazi was monumental, on several levels.
Give thanks. And there is here to keep us honest, Baba. Baba Malik is not a Rastafari. He's a Pan-African. He knows reggae music. He knows us, but he's here to keep us honest, because I don't want our Pan-African family to say the Rasses are smoking a lot of ganja and that's why they think it's heaven on earth. And I want Baba Malik to keep us honest tonight. All right, Baba?
That's a big task. I got some of my teachers on this line. I got Ras Xola and Ras Cashawn. It's like that's some heavyweights,
Well, just keep us. They're Rastafari, so I just want someone to make sure that when we're talking about Kazi and all of this glowing language, we have someone that, not from a Rastafari, but from a Pan-African, because your Pan-African credentials are many. The work speaks for itself. So I just want to keep us honest, So I'm playing fair, family, globally. All right. Ras Xola, give us your introduction. You're no stranger to the platform.
Well, I give thanks to the Almighty, Karmawi Haile Selassie, and I give thanks to my ancestors. I'm so honored to be on this panel and to be having this conversation. I am presently now the Executive Director of the Black Food Sovereignty Alliance in Toronto. And basically, the work that I do within that capacity is outreach into community to bring the African Canadian community, specifically in Toronto and at large across Canada, to start looking at the state of food insecurity for people of African descent and the solution of having a Black food sovereignty agenda. So, speaking of the Kazi experience, it's going to be very much of a pleasure for me on many levels. As I said, on Rastafari, the Black community, and Mama Africa as examples, because, for me, looking over the work that Malik doing, that Cashawn doing, that I and I doing within North America is very outstanding. It's a new way of how we as people of African descent looking at how we handle our solutions. More intentional, more sovereign. It's governance. Give thanks, and I love to be here with Scheril, Sister Aisha, Binghi Shan, give thanks.
Give thanks. Binghi Shan, there is no stranger to this platform either. One of my, bona fide brethren family. I can't even call him a brethren again. Please introduce thyself.
Yeah, first of all, we give thanks to His and Her Majesty for life, health, and strength. Give thanks to be on the Lion Voice. My voice probably sounded a little crackly. I literally just woke up. I had to take a little 2-hour nap, so I'm up. But it was important to be here. But I give thanks to currently be the executive director of Habesha Incorporated, helping Africa by establishing schools at home and abroad. Also a founding member of the Atlanta Black Food Sovereignty Collective, and also the executive director of the Kweku Ando Sustainability Institute in Ghana, West Africa. We had the pleasure of hosting all of the family members on the screen in Ghana. I can say both on a personal and a professional level, it has been the highlight of the capstone of my life and my career. To host over 50 people that I love and respect here in Ghana for almost 3 weeks, and for the work that we were able to do together, the healing, the joy that we had during that time was unmatched. So give thanks again to Judge Mach and the Lions Voice Network for providing this platform. And again, it's a pleasure and an honor for us to be on this panel with my esteemed comrades, elders, and guests.
Give thanks. And we're gonna kick it off with Binghi Shan after we do the intros. The next guest, International President of the Ethiopian World Federation, also the president of Local 12. I joined the EWF, inspired by the works of this sister, and I'm now a proud member of Local 12. But we all know as Rastafari, when it comes to the Pan-African credential of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, Ethiopian World Federation, disproves, a lot of the naysayers that were saying Haile Selassie, was catering to Europeans, that, he sold out the cause during the Italian invasion, 1936-37. He establishes the EWF for the Black peoples of the world. And now we have the international president here with us. Please introduce thyself and esteemed cannabis attorney. Go ahead.
Yes, greetings. Thank you so much for the lead up to the introductions. I'm Scheril Murray Powell, Esquire. I'm a cannabis agricultural dietary supplement, trades, psychedelics, and regulatory attorney. I've been practicing cannabis law for 10 years, and I've been at the forefront of the sacramental use movement. As mentioned, I am very honored and proud to be the international president of the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated and president of Local Charter 12. I enjoyed my Kasi experience. I couldn't help smiling seeing everybody on the screen, my roommate, Sister Aisha, and all the experts, the quality and caliber of people, the best in the world. I'm not going to even say best in the Black people of the world, the best in the world. I enjoyed myself. It was such a healthy environment for mind, body, and spirit. So I'm really excited to be here today. This is like a reunion for me. I'm a very people person, huggy person. So there's a lot of full joy when I remember my times at Kasi, and I look forward to more fellowship and more work together. But yeah, that's basically my introduction. I'm just really excited about the future with the people that you see on the screen here today. Shout out to the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated family. Shout out to His Imperial Highness, Prince Ermias. He wants to send his greetings to everyone watching as well, on behalf of the Crown Council, as well as the Royal Ethiopian Trust. So a lot of family here and a lot of legacy for His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, as well as Empress Waziri Menen Asfa. Give thanks, blessed love.
Give thanks, and our final panelist, and we're also looking forward to see Ras Bobby. Hopefully, Ras Bobby will trot in shortly. But this panelist, when I met her, was the Assistant Commissioner of Agriculture for the Virgin Islands, and she's no longer in that position, but she's gone on to do greater things because now she is shepherding youth programs, women in agriculture in the VI. I've learned so much from her wisdom. She was one of the pillars when it came on to our summit meeting and in terms of the ITAL standard, keeping us on task. Her and Sister Scheril had to wrangle with all these lions. I'm telling you, it was such a joy. Sister Aisha, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, greetings one and all. It's such a pleasure to be with the group again, and the positive vibes, this level of excellence and I say imperial quality we come with. It's very inspiring to work amongst the I&I. I'm a former ag educator, that's my passion, is teaching agriculture to youths all over. I've been involved in supervising programs for the Miami-Dade School District for decades, workforce education. I think my superpower is really education in general. As Kwasi mentioned, I was the Assistant Commissioner of Agriculture for the VI most recently for about 6 years. And now I work with my organization, the Virgin Islands Women in Agriculture Association, which I use to shepherd youth and engage women and just farmers as much as possible to support and just to bring increased food security and sovereignty. I also work through my Peace International LLC, People's Environmental and Agricultural Consulting Enterprise. I do a lot of work there on grant writing and initiatives. it's just a pleasure bringing all this energy to Rastafari youth to empower next future generations of youth in general across the world, but a focus on Rastafari youth development. I'm really excited about working with this team to facilitate some big moves globally. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks.
Give thanks, give thanks. All right, so we're gonna jump straight into the topic. I'm gonna come to the Binghi Sean. The concept around Kazi. I know that this started in the Naya Binghi house in Washington, D.C., with the reasonings, the Naya Binghi chants, and I treasures are in Zion, beyond the seven seas, you know what I mean? So many chants, so many reasonings, so many visions in terms of what Africa will be like when we return home. I always spoke about being on the welcoming committee, and I know that was one of the main motivators, and also the fact that when we came out of the transatlantic slave trade and colonialism, there wasn't an army of psychologists and psychiatrists that were waiting to triage the Africans coming out of this brutality, meaning that healing process, it was never an intentional part of our journey. We've been in a survival reactionary mode. Kazi, the healing aspect, the concept of it being a proof of concept for heaven on earth. Binghi Sean, give us the, how the I conceptualize, just give us the whole visioning of the space.
That's a lot. That's a lot at once. But we give thanks, really, the inspiration is His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. His Majesty say that we must be bigger than we've ever been, greater in outlook, and more courageous in spirit. And I took heed to that as a young student at Howard University with the Judgmach, and many other ones like Ras Tafari and others who were students at the time. We had a chance and the opportunity to learn under elders like Ras Iris, Bongo Jack, and others who really share with us, the greatness of His Imperial Majesty, the connection to Mama Africa, also share with us practically how we can move our people forward. And so I give thanks for those early days, those early reasonings that really helped to shape I in this work. And, seeing solutions as really the only way moving forward, because as I kind of grew within in my own consciousness, and we hear people talk about the challenges we've had as African people, my question was always, okay, now that we know the challenges, what can we do about it? So my vision always has been to say, I want to be able to create something or be a part of something that contributes to the solution for our people. And seeing, my formal background is psychology and education. How could I use that training, that area of focus that I had as a student now for our people? And curriculum development has always been something that I've loved to do. My mother is a 30-year retired teacher. I come from a lineage of teachers and farmers. So really bringing those two passions together, those two lineages together, and seeing how can we create, a space on earth that really can focus on our education, our healing, tie in everything as it relates to loving the land and connecting to the earth. And so Kazi is really that 20-year vision, over 20-year vision of how we see and what we can bring forward a contribution to the solutions for our people. And I give thanks, it wasn't me alone who built the space or helped to design and conceptualize the space. So I have to give thanks to our team, particularly to Javon, who was very, very instrumental from the early days of Habasha up till now, and who is, I'll say it on record, is the #1 international plant-based vegan Ital chef in the world. She has been by my side since that time at Howard University and before. And give thanks to ones like the Kwasi, who always in there to not only sharing the vision, but to help create the vision. And it really started when we first, were bringing youth to Ghana in 2004, 2003, 2004, and we saw the beauty and the connection that Ghana had for us as African people, and I specifically, knowing that this was a place that we saw as really the embodiment of heaven on earth. Because as we talk about heaven on earth, it's not a pie in the sky, it's a reality. And so we saw that we could bring a vision forward and have a sample of what that can look like, what heaven can look like. And it took us over 20 years to build. And I would also say it wasn't, we didn't start building it mentally in 2009 when the structures went up. We started building it when we first began to research and learn about Mama Africa and get the inspiration of His Imperial Majesty of creating this new paradigm, this new way of thinking, this new way of living for people of African descent. So we give thanks that in 2022, after 3 years of building, we were able to open Kazi. And as I was telling one this past month, 2022 was our opening and 2025 was our grand opening when we had our family from all over the world to join us. So we give thanks again just for all the esteemed guests that are on the line who brought so much joy to my life. Ones would see me moving around and taking care of business, and I made sure to tell everyone who was there. They would ask, "Hey, any help you need?" I say, "No, you're a servant. We're here to serve you now." So it was beautiful to be able to serve the servants this past October, man. And we give thanks and looking forward to what we'll build from that.
Give thanks, give thanks. So mighty. It really was a milestone. I think everybody's still riding that current. We have a WhatsApp group with all of the participants, and you can see the joy, the pictures. I'm not a jealous person, but when I saw the tour that I did not attend, if I say I didn't feel a little ticklish, a little,
Same here.
And I've done the tour so many times, I was like, no, I don't need to do the tour again. But when you build that personal relationship with the people and they become family, and part of the joy for us who have been to Ghana was seeing the reaction on people's faces the first time they're experiencing something. Speak to that part, Binghi Sean, while you're still awake here with us. How was that seeing we had several elders. Ras Xola was his first time on the continent. We're going to hear about that. You were literally seeing people fulfill, a main part of their chad through the eye works. How did that feel as a young Ras, as a mature Ras now,
Honestly, I can say that one of the highlights for I the whole time was to just observe Ras Bobby on this journey. Honestly, I had so much joy. Ras Bobby as an elder, 70 years old, and the youthful exuberance that Ras Bobby had from the day he touched the African soil to the day he left, it inspired me so much, man. Big up Ras Bobby. And this is the missing though. I knew of Ras Bobby. Ras Bobby is internationally known. Ras Bobby, the Caribbean herbalist, internationally known. So I used, watch YouTube videos, see Ras Bobby on Facebook. I met Ras Bobby for the first time in January of this year when I was in St. Thomas. Big up to We Grow Food Inc., who invited I to the Ras Tafari Agricultural Fair that takes place in Bordeaux every year. I met Ras Bobby for the first time. And when I was at the fair and when I and Ras Bobby linked up, when we saw each other, it was almost like, I don't know exactly what it was, but it was like we had knew each other before. He looked at me, I looked at him, and immediately he just came up and hailed me. And from that point, I was there like 3 days. I'm telling you, from that point, every time I see Ras Bobby, it was like we were just walking around together, reasoning. We had such a joyful time in St. Thomas, and I told Ras Bobby before I left, I say, Ras Bobby, I want to see the eye in Ghana in October. And that was one of my main goals, to make sure that Ras Bobby reached Ghana. And it didn't disappoint for I. It was so powerful to see Ras Bobby receive his Ghanaian name, and to see how much emotion that evoked from him. To see Ras Bobby just in his element when we were in Liate Volta and we had the community reception. And Ras Bobby was there dancing in the circle with the drummers, and just the joy that Ras Bobby had. That honestly was a highlight. I pray that Ras Bobby can get on the line, because that was a highlight for I, to see the joy that he as an elder had, and for I to be a part of fulfilling that. A man of such high esteem, for him to say that this was a pinnacle in his life. That meant so much to I. And Ras Bobby wasn't the only one. There were many ones who shared how monumental this was for them, you know. So it was such a joy to be able to travel around, to share with the family. We had a chance to, again, have over 20 people get their names. Another one of the highlights, I have to admit, was a marriage ceremony that we helped to facilitate that wasn't in our plans. We didn't have a marriage ceremony in our plans at all. It just so happened Mama Bonita, big up Mama Bonita, one of the delegates from the Virgin Islands through We Grow Food, her son Lukata was in Kenya. And he was like, yo, I want to come over and be a part of the vibes, you know. So we helped him, you know, get the documentation he needed to come. And within the first 2 days of him arriving, Lukata reached out to I and said, yo, I'm here with my queen. We want to get married. And he said, we want to do it the day that the group will be at the beach. So we said, say less, as the young people say. We made a few calls, we organized, and within 4 to 5 days after landing, Lukata and his queen had one of the most beautiful weddings on the beach of Cape Coast, surrounded by a family that he had grew up with, because the delegation from the Virgin Islands, they knew Lukata. And then, of course, his larger Pan-African family was also present. That was such a beautiful ceremony. I'll never forget that. And really what that marriage ceremony symbolized to I was that they were physically getting married on the beach. And we were, as organizations and individuals, that time we spent together over that 3-week time period was like a marriage of minds, of organizations and entities. So it was a physical marriage that we were part of. It was also a spiritual marriage between those of us who were there in Ghana. And that was really one of the highlights for I, to be a part of that, to be able to bless him up on that day, and to say that we had our first ever, you know, wedding ceremony as part of a Habesha tour and activity in Ghana was truly a highlight. So again, those are just two highlights, but just to see the joy of the family throughout the time that we were there, to see the upward vibes as we traveled around, for ones to get a chance to that Ghana was really like, you know, what they saw in the Caribbean, or what they experienced when they were younger, and also what many saw when they were growing up as youth, you know. So it was just so powerful. We had the gamut from the youth, suckling, all the way to elders. So we literally traveled all over Ghana with a Pan-African nation. It was 50 of us that traveled around. So that was so powerful within and of itself. And just give thanks for everyone who was a part of that. The energy on the bus was live. We joked a lot. We had fun. We had some Black Power songs.
Okay. We have a guest that comes on sometime named Wi-Fi the Guy. And, you know, he make an appearance when you get nice and spicy. He's a show off. And, you know, we accommodate him, but, you know what I mean, we'll work around him.
I was gonna say the photos of the wedding were so beautiful. Like, I can't, just hearing it now, I thought it was something that was planned like weeks before the conferences. To hear that that was an impromptu wedding, and those pictures were fire, just beautiful, the vibrant colors, everybody's joy. I was like, oh, I wish I was there, because that was after I left. But well done on the wedding, the impromptu Habesha wedding. So Habesha love, Habesha wedding. I love it.
Give thanks. Am I back? Can y'all hear me again? I think I jumped out again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We're here
So
to see the eye and hear the eye.
it was a blessing, though. Honestly, it was so beautiful. It was just the entire it's great how we started at Kazi, and we literally were in a portal for like 2 weeks. We literally were in a portal where we landed, came in, surrounded by the mountains, and we were there over 10 days, most of us. And to really have that time to spend together 24/7 with such a group of amazing African people, and then now to travel throughout Ghana, it was an experience like no other for I, Kwasi, and we give thanks.
And we have to let the people know that this was 3 meals a day, 5-star cuisine, top of the line. When he says that his queen is the best plant-based chef on the planet, you see people nodding their head. So this was not easily won, you know what I mean? This was battlefield tested. I'm a Sistrian too, so I'm biased. The brethren is his queen, so he's biased. But the rest of the panel, they're just meeting the Sistrian, or they just don't know the Sistrian cooking. So when you see the head shaking, you know what I mean, you know that something's serious. All right.
I did a whole photo post just on the food.
Okay.
I did a post on Instagram and Facebook with just different plates that I had over the 2 weeks. So yes, she is fire. She is amazing. And it was, you know what it is? You taste the love in the food. It wasn't just food. You can taste the nourishment and the love that went into it, the hand-chosen ingredients, most of it from the farm itself. So give thanks for the nourishment. Blessed love, Siobhan.
As a Ras who take the itality very serious. The ital at Kasi was tapper. You know, the combinations, like for me, I would like everything to be documented. Every meal was like, wow, you know, like. So that layout is how
a cultural
Xola looking
flair,
at
like,
it. You know what I mean? Like this
Amazing.
come this time, this come this time. What's the name of the Scheril, Malik?
Sobolo.
Coming in with pine
Sobolo.
and you know it's on a level, you know.
Sobolo.
Sobolo. So with Sister Siobhan and the kitchen crew. Mighty man, mighty.
You know, Ras Quasi, usually I try to make it a habit. If somebody's already said something, I don't need to say it again. But in this case, I'm gonna say it again, and which is, as a long-term vegan myself, it was again heaven to not have to ask, does this have eggs in it? Does this have dairy in it? Does this have shrimp in it? Does this have, I could just be free. And whatever was available, I could eat it with no concern, no worries. And that was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience. Yes. And I have to agree, the Sister Siobhan is top ranking when it comes to plant-based chefs.
Okay, you see, because I have Baba Malik here for a reason. I'm strategic. He's level setting. So when you hear it from Baba Malik, you know it's not the Rastas them at a private meeting and come up with these things. I have someone in the comments who was with us who said that I arrived in Ghana a vegetarian.
Yes, Mama Anifa.
Yes. Okay. Yes. This elder is so special. And we're gonna do I want to do a panel with some of the other guests. This is just an initial panel to get a Ras Tafari Pan-African perspective. But we're gonna have other panels because I think it was so special. The gathering. But Mama Hanifa said that I arrived in Ghana vegetarian. I left a vegan. The food was absolutely amazing. Gift prepared with so much love. You know what I mean? So you can feel, I know our audience can feel. And if you're watching us live, please put in the comments where you're watching from. Lion Pride, just check in, the protocol. Let us know where you're watching from. Make sure you like and you share. We are tonight talking about heaven on earth and the concept, the actualization. I want us to challenge the narrative that heaven on earth is clouds in the sky and pearly gates and these things that were implanted. When we talk about heaven or that Edenic state, we're really referencing a place where we can be our full selves as African, the healing space. We're talking about the community relations where we're in harmony with not only nature, but with our people who are there. All of these aspects are present. We're talking about eco-friendly use of the natural environment and being in harmony with that natural environment. We're also talking about beautiful landscape, you know. So we are talking about all of these elements when we're referring to heaven. Baba Malik, please just give me your impression. Was that your first time to Africa? If not, where else have you been? And just give your overall impression of the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute.
So the first time I went to Africa was actually 30 years ago in 1995, and I went to Ghana. And so it was special for me on several levels. It was like the completion of a cycle in some ways, and visiting some of the same places I visited then and seeing the difference. And then especially in Bonwiri, I had some pictures of people I had met then, and people were running around saying, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. And, you know, he's living in Kumasi now. And, you know, oh, that's Yakini. He's living in America. He's a big man. He's about to build a hotel. So, you know, kind of making those connections that after that 30-year cycle was a beautiful thing. But I've been to Senegal, Gambia, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, and Cameroon. And I can tell you, you know, I truly love Africa, and really there's not that much difference between all of those places. It's all, you know, it's slight variations, but it's kind of all the same, you know, on a certain level. It's all, you know, there's a lot of similarity. So, but of the 7 times I've been to Africa, I can say without a doubt that this was the best trip ever. And I wanna big up Binghi Sean, as others have done, and others on the team. I don't know, you know, who all played what role, and you know, I'm sure there's behind the scenes people that were doing things as well. So, you know, big up to them. But I'm gonna speak on what I saw and what I know from Cashawn, and that is the thoughtfulness and the care that went into providing for the elders. And I'm still getting used to like this elder identity, right? Because in my mind, I still see myself as younger. So when people say the elders line up first, you know, I have to still in my mind say, oh yeah, that's me. But you know, but I kind of leaned into that. You know, I was like, oh, that's not too bad, you know. And so I just have much appreciation for that. I also have much appreciation for Ras Cashawn, because in my 50 some years in this movement for African liberation, I've met lots of people, and I've heard lots of people say lots of things. And as one of my brothers used to say to me, when all is said and done, there's usually more said than done. And so I've heard all kinds of big plans and schemes and dreams, and usually they never materialize. And so it's a special kind of person. When I say special, I really mean that certain people are divinely appointed in this time to do certain work, you know. And my sense is that Cashawn is one of those, that it's not even his, you know, like he's been called to do it. He's accepted his call. And so we all benefit as a result of that. But he's been chosen to do a work, and he's doing it. So that's the main thing. He's manifested this idea that he talked about and that he was raising support about, and it exists in reality. And so that's an important lesson for our people, because many times, even those of us who consider ourselves to be conscious, many times we still deeply doubt that we really have the ability to manifest great things. And so, as Mr. Garvey said, what man can do, man can do. And what he was referring to, I think, was, we see Europeans doing things with armies, navies, industry, that we can do that too. But the other side of that, when we say what man can do, is within our own ranks, that when we see the manifestation of something as great as Kazi, nobody can say that can't be done because it's been done. And so it removes that whole narrative. And so now all we have is a narrative of moving forward. How do we replicate it? And how do we learn the lessons from it? So it's many more things I would like to share, but I'll be respectful to the group. We have limited time.
Yes, Kasi. I know
I
this
have
conversation.
Ras Bobby on the line here. Apologies. Go ahead, Ras Xola. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is also about Rastafari and the models. And I like to see the work that I do, starting with the African food basket. I always see the what I like to call it Aita liberty. That's Rasta live. This is thing that Rastafaris do. We just grow food, we just grow weed, we just play music, and we have a reverence for the environment. Them foundations, Kasi embody in a great way. And I give thanks in Cashawn to see manifestation. Rastafari works. I said, come to the Binghi house. I said the same thing with the African food basket. Because I came to the Binghi house in Toronto. I don't think the Binghi house was ready for this kind of Black food movement. So seeing Kasi now as another example of what Binghi Mansion should have on the mansions, whether it be Scotch Pass, whether it be wherever in the world. So for me, this is a good example of when we're talking about Rastafari food sovereignty, Rastafari liberty, but even liberation struggle of people of African descent. As Malik said, this is a model. This is not just talk. This is works. That's why I like to see the works we're doing. I like to say it's Black food sovereignty in practice. This is liberation works of people of African descent, of what we need to be right now when we look at food. We're not just about security. We're going on a higher governance level. And like Binghi grounds, communities duplicating. Like right now, we having access to land as people of African descent. We're gaining more access to land intentionally. Like in Toronto, in the Northwest, some young people saying, well, we buy 100 acres of land. So what is big in Ontario? They buy 100 acres. Let me get it moving now. Could we have a small Kasi on it? It's 100 acres. And in different parts, we have an access to land. Especially in North America, it's a big thing. There's a scarcer thing in Canada, access to land for Black farmers. So the works with Kasi and the fullness of self-sustaining, the bamboo grove, the plant-based cooking it's a brilliant model that need to be exported, need to be spoken about. We see in communities coming up, with land. It's a good model. It's a good model to move forward the agenda of the Black food movement, the things that we need to do collectively. Like we're talking about the Aita, like someone was visioning an Aita shop in Accra. That menus from the summit, there's the possibilities, and I give thanks. I give thanks to Birong, Mr. Aisha, Scheril, many of the others at the gathering. It was such a blessed energy and positive vibes, not too much of useless arguments, but nice reasoning, you know. So I give thanks. I give thanks for the ceremonies and the villages, especially in Letawati, when we just came, you know, and to experience the ceremonies was very special to me. It was very special for me too, to welcome in the people from Ghana. It's like first time I go to the airport and people saying Akwaba, welcome. United at the Ethiopian World Federation gathering. My brother just tell me, it's a Baba Xola, I got 5 acres of land for you, just stay. You know, the welcoming, and I hear that so often. I give thanks for the opportunity to reach to Africa for the first time. And I always say when I reach to Africa, I got kiss the ground. Xola got kiss the ground of Mother Africa. You must do that. And I give thanks. I got the opportunity to do that. You know, on our way to Kasi. I give thanks. Yes, I.
Yes, yes. Give thanks. I'm trying to get Ras Bobby in. We're just trying to sort out some technical difficulties, but he's listening. So Ras Bobby, prayerfully, you know, I sent the link in your WhatsApp. You can just click the link in your WhatsApp and try come in. We're praying because we want to see the eye. All right. Sister Scheril.
Yeah.
Yes. What was the impression that
Oh my
this
goodness.
institute left on the eye?
Let's just say when I came back, my body was like, what are you going to do to me now after that experience I had at Kasi? I was like, I better learn how to cook cleaner. I need to go, you know, I would go to the grocery store and I have my nose turned up in the air because things aren't fresh enough. It was such a life-changing experience being at Kasi. You know, shout out to Ras Cashawn and Sister Siobhan. Shout out to Mama Rita for all her nurturing and love and service and conversations. And that's part of the heaven on earth experience is, you know, having that maternal experience. It that's also healing to have that healthy relationship with mother figure who cares about you and nurturing you, and having your sisters and brothers around. This is my second trip to Ghana. I fell in love with Ghana when I went the first time, and I was intending to come back immediately, and then COVID happened. So to be back on Ghanaian soil, it was confirmation, because it almost seemed like a fantasy, my first trip, where it's like, I fell in love with it, but is it really that great? You know, and there's so many other countries to visit in on the continent. And as soon as I came back, I was like, no, this is a special place. I love Ghana, absolutely love Ghana. And you know, it was mentioned earlier, the warm welcome. You got a little snippet of it in Ras Kwasi's. He did a presentation on the beginning of the tour to Heaven on the Road to Heaven on Earth. So you got a little snippet, but you're going to see way more. So stay tuned for future episodes. But, you know, to be greeted at the airport with my Habesha family, my EWF Local 24 family, knowing that I was on this invitation-only experience with other EWF members that I did not know, like Ras Izai and other Ras Bobby and, you know, people who've already been Federation, but they may not be a part of a local now. So, and then to create that spark so that, you know, some of our brethren were moved to start a new local in the Volta region. Ras Sean is a member of Local 49. As Ras Kwasi mentioned, he just joined Local 12. So, you know, it's very rich to be around the Black people of the world in such a healthy environment. healthy in so many ways, mind, body, and spirit. And it was very healthy for, sorry, that's my son. Very healthy to, just restore yourself. And when we were talking earlier about, this is a vortex, this is a portal. When Ras Kwasi was saying that when we were driving in, all right, you're about to enter the vortex. I'm like, ha. It's like the vortex. But then, when you get there, like there were days I was like, I don't even know what day today is. And I just felt like there was so much room for, thought, prayer, meditation. It was just such a beautiful experience. It was really moving when, Rashawn, when he gave us our room, Sister Aisha and I shared a room, and it was where he put his own family. So that just showed to me the regard that he has for us, that he would place us where his family is, and that was very special. I definitely immediately felt like a sister, and it was definitely a blessing to just every detail. When Ras Kwasi said, "This is our prototype," again, you're thinking, all right, we're going to see a prototype. But then you see the prototype, you're like, this is our prototype? We were thinking too small. Because when you go to Kasi and you see what, community collective work can create, it makes you want to dream bigger. It makes you want to do more. So that was one of the other benefits of Kasi, is like opening up that third eye to what is possible. And, sometimes I like to say, we deserve nice things, but we really do deserve nice things. And sometimes we settle for less than we deserve. But when Jah plants in someone a vision of what's possible, that vision is for that person, because other people may not see it. But the fact that Rashawn saw it and then actually went through the steps in building, it's almost like Noah and the ark. I'm sure he had naysayers left and right saying, this isn't going to work. How are you going to do this? You live in America. There's scammers and all these things. But he was given that vision that he could see bamboo in a way with his architect and trusted advisors. He saw bamboo in a way that even those who were born in Accra, born in the region, hadn't seen what was possible with bamboo. So, he's learning the culture and learning, the landscape and the vegetation, and then taking it to a higher level as far as what building with bamboo looks like. When, the whole pavilion was made with bamboo, and I've always said, bamboo, mushrooms, and cannabis are going to save the world because they're the most versatile plants. You can get your food, you can get your shelter, you can get your clothing. But when the torrential rains would come down, because we would be blessed with like just torrential rains. I swear to you, on the day that the king came to Kasi, there was this time when it rained just on me. Like literally the rain was coming down on me alone. And I looked at Ras Oswald. I was like, are you seeing this? It's only raining on me right now. But when the torrential rain would come down, we were completely covered. There was no breach in the bamboo building. Like we were completely dry. And that's a testament to what agriculture is. Agriculture is food. Agriculture is shelter. Agriculture is clothing. And I think that's magnified in a Kasi environment. I also want to say the relationship with the village, the promotion of local brands in the gift shop. You don't see that all the time, but it's such a genuine love. It was great to be a part of it by default. And then finally getting to be a farmer again, being on the land. I planted my sweet sop tree, and we all planted lettuce and okra and all the things we had been eating all week. We got a chance to plant those things That's a meditative experience. It's a community celebration experience. So it really is heaven on earth, because the days of the week didn't matter. It was just how we can build together, support each other, how we as thinkers were catalysts for the next person's thought. That was something that is so rare, that I was grateful to have experienced it. So, I can't wait till my next visit to Kasi. I'm planning to go in December. I'm wrestling up a crowd to join me. And you need that time in solitude. You need to experience heaven on earth so that you can experience the heaven within yourself and within your soul. And you need to quiet the noise and have that solitude time, and then be around big dreamers so that you can remind yourself to dream bigger on your own. And that's what I left with is I'm going to be better to my body, and, mind, body, spirit. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to dream bigger. I'm going to work more in community and celebrate all the wins with my brothers and sisters. So give thanks, Rashawn, Ras Kwasi, all my counterparts who were there join with me, my roomie, who we had our girl time and our talks after. When everybody went to bed, we'd get to just hang out and talk, or in the morning. I haven't had that, and so I don't have any sisters. And I haven't had that probably since maybe college. I might have had something similar, but it was such a great experience getting to know Sister Aisha as a sister and my roommate and my partner and all the things. So I'm very grateful, much changed as a person. I didn't leave the way I came. I would like to think that I left better than I came. And I'm here to evangelize that you all need to come to Kasi. It's our safe space. It's just for us. It's just for us. And the days of the week don't matter, because you're going to be building with others. Give thanks.
Give thanks. Sister Aisha. You've been around the world, the highest of the high. For ones who don't know the caliber, she's very well traveled. What was your impression of the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute? And you stayed longer, so she also got the authentic Volta experience. After everyone left, she stayed and did some trainings with the local community, and so I think you even got a rounder experience than the whole group. But what was the impression of the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute?
So first I want to say this was my second time to Ghana. I was here in 2006, and I did like a 3-week agricultural tour, and we went to all the different regions. So I had a good understanding of the agricultural footprint in the country. And at that time, I didn't have access to this good food. So when I was coming again, that was my biggest concern, as a vegan, what I was going to eat. So this, and King Sean, I could say, Binghi Sean, you did say that your wife was a world-class vegan chef. She said that on the first day. I was like, yeah. But he was so right, though, and I'm a foodie. I've eaten vegan food all over. It had this cultural touch. You had fufu, you had plantain porridge, you had, all the different type of food, it was really inspiring. So everything has been said already, but as it relates to the Kazi, wow. Excellence. A lot of times as Rastafari, or growing up as, African people, Black people in the diaspora, we were always told that we're not good enough. This is, we don't have high enough standards. We were always trained to be in service. We always have to settle with less, what's on sale, or, we won't really, some of us won't really in tune with our environment to value the quality of life we could have. And Kazi emulates all that. Not just emulates it, but emulates it on a high level, like at the imperial standard of excellence, as Rastafari, you can be Rastafari, and you can be Rastafari who emulates the leadership and the level, the example set by His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie. And at Kazi, I feel it has that imperial touch where it's supreme and everything has been thought of, from the thoughtful little gifts on your pillow. You know, it was a little bag with the African rag scrub thing and some black soap, liquid black soap, and the best mosquito repellent you can find. And then some shea butter, smells so good and made with love. It said so. You know, little touches like that, you know. I didn't remember seeing any roaches, any bugs, any ants. The grounds were perfectly maintained. The staff were young people who were exciting and, you know, intelligent and wanting to learn more. I mean, everything was in place at a high caliber, and that really moved me and inspired me. So everything each one of the panelists says is absolutely correct. But my focus is really on sustaining the excellent work that I doing. And I feel that sustainability only comes by exposing the youth to these experiences at a high level. Because remember, they're still young and they have still been told that they are not good enough and they cannot match up. And especially in Ghana, when I went and I visited youths in schools, I spoke to farmers, I met female women farmers organization on the fishing, people who fish. You know, I met with a few kings, I met with governmental entities, you know. I hung out with the same ladies in Latiwoti, the ladies who sit around and sell is it Kosi? So I get to sit with them for a few hours and just chat. One of them looked like my auntie and just reason with them. It was so empowering, you know. I get to spend extra time reasoning with Empress Siobhan, you know, and just other people. I get to do training with staff and really understand what their needs are and what their vision is, you know. And when I see Kazi, I think about, you know, how we say, I've always said, I tell my students, dream big, big dreams. Little dreams don't have any magic, you know, dream large, you know, and to see that this dream, this large dream exists, you know, the concept of being bold and getting in the way, you know, we don't tell our youth them that, be bold and get in the way, you know, and this is one of those moves, one of those bold moves to demonstrate that we are of imperial quality. We can do excellence. It can be done. It's being done, and we can do it. We can replicate it, and that's the vision. And it's really inspiring and exciting and global class. And I'm proud to see it in Ghana, in the region, in the Volta region, where it's a beautiful environment with no buildings and construction. Everything is still simple. You know, the village is there, the chiefs are there, and the students are bright and amazing and wanting, and they need to experience Kazi and be inspired to dream big, utilizing the resources they have available to them in the region. I'm excited about that.
Speak to us before you go, Sister Aisha, about the young people in the staff. I know youth are your passion. The whole time that we were at Kazi, you know, Habisha was very intentional about hiring from the surrounding community. We had a lot of young people from the community that were working. Explain, you know, how that was for the eye interacting with these young people.
Yes, you know, they had amazing names like Happiness and Courage, you know, names like that that were inspiring. And just to speak with them and to understand their vision. Usually when I meet young people, I always ask them what their superpower is, you know, what it is that make them tick, the juice, you know, the fabric of them, you know, what they feel as if they're excellent at. And these young people have so many skills. A lot of them, they look so petite, but they have degrees in IT already, and they aspire to be a CPA, and they're quiet and humble. And what I want to teach these young people is that they are more than good enough, and that they, you know, they have a way of humbling to everybody and yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And that's good and that's respectful. But I want them to realize that they, right where they are, they're excellent and they're rich in resources, and everything they need to succeed is within them and around them. And that, yes, they need to learn new things, but it's important that they capture the knowledge from their ancestors, their parents, their grandparents, the way and the traditional ways they're doing things. And when I express that to the youth, them, they're like, it's really exciting to them, you know? They really want to do this thing. They really want to be liberated and they want to excel. And I want to work through these amazing people I've met in the past few weeks at Kazi to make that happen for the youth, not just only in Ghana, but the youth globally, and with a focus on underserved populations like our Rastafari communities globally. I'm really excited about manifesting these powers and putting them together and how they can result in success for the next generation.
Give thanks, give thanks. Powerful testimony. Tonight, if you're just joining us, we're talking about heaven on earth. Habisha, helping Africa by establishing schools at home and abroad, has built a proof of concept. However, the challenge is, how do we scale this concept? Because even though it's heaven on earth, we have to leave. We have to come forward into Babylon. Many of us, we're not able to sustain that as a day-to-day reality, which African people have done at various times. We have manifested heaven on earth as African people in various civilizations, but the sustainability of it is always been a challenge. And so we are offering this proof of concept again in the context of Hurricane Melissa, the destruction of Rastafari infrastructure in Jamaica. We're saying that as we rebuild, let us rebuild with a vision to build centers like Kazi in the Caribbean as repatriation hubs, so that we can start to prepare our people with the training. All of the panelists were able to do or be exposed to trainings in block building. You know, the buildings at Kazi are made with natural mud brick blocks, and we'll have Binghi talk about that. Almost 40,000 watts of solar energy, completely off the grid. We have a backup generator. We had to use it at the time. This was a biggest test of Kazi as a facility as well. Over 65 people, not including staff, at points, living on the property, taxing the power grid, all of these things. So everything is, being tested, being worked on. While we still have the eye, Binghi, talk to us about some of the special features of Kazi that make it so unique in terms of a model for heaven on earth. And as also, it's not a bubble. So you heard about the connection with the community. It wouldn't be heaven on earth if we were disconnected from community. It wouldn't be heaven on earth if we were an elitist kind of installation in a African village. The guests were able to feel how the village interacts with I. We had a reception. The village held a reception for us, royal reception, dancing and drumming with the trumpet man. The trumpet man had one arm and is great trumpet man. We have to talk about the trumpet.
Still in the game.
We have to talk about the trumpet man. I have to get some big up too. As musicians, I'm going to talk to Xola and Malik about the musical styling. But Binghi, while we still have you, talk to us about some of the special features, the solar, the mud brick, the biofuel sanitation. For those who are not familiar, why Kazi is so special and the community relationship.
Yeah, so I think it starts off with the community. Big up Ras Aswad in Krabia, the legendary Ras Aswad, who was the first about 25, 30 years ago to come to Liate Wote and set a precedent and build a firm relationship with the community, from a Pan-African and Rastafari perspective. So really, when we came in, the first time we came to Liate Wote in 2004, we were welcomed with open arms because Ras Aswad had already set the precedent. And our family knew of the diaspora, but they knew of Rastafari. So it wasn't strange for them to see me coming and subsequent groups that came. And big up to Togbe Kodajah V, the deceased former king of Liate Wote, who transitioned in May of this year. He was the king the entire time that I've been coming to Liate Wote, and was such an advocate for the work that he did. He welcomed us with open arms. He always provided support. He himself, a 30-year retired educator, and also the leader of that community. And of course, we have to big up for Mousy, Mr. Mousy, who is our father in the community and who has really provided everything that we need, including the land that Kazi's on. Kazi's located in a special place within Liate Wote, within the Volta region. When Mr. Mousy first brought me to the land and said this, because he had told me 10 years prior to that, hey, you coming all the time and you bring in groups. We want you to have a place so you don't have to rent a hotel. You don't have to go to someone else's place. We want you to have a place in the community. And he encouraged that in. I knew we weren't ready from a financial perspective and even personally to make it happen. It was over 10 years. It had close to 15 years. And it never left my iris, though. It never left my iris that, yes, this is the place that we want to build. And so when he finally took me in 2015, the first time he took me to the place, to that particular location, I was in amazement because guess what? We at the foothills of Ghana's tallest mountain. It's not just one mountain, it's a mountain range. So literally, you know, when we read in the Psalms and it says, as mountains are around about Ethiopia, so the Most High is round about I and I. We literally are surrounded by mountains. And within that mountain range is Ghana's tallest mountain and also Ghana's second tallest waterfall, Togbe Falls. That waterfall, the water from that fall forms a river, and that river borders the land of Kazi. So we have fresh spring water year round. We're surrounded by mountains. That's our backdrop. And then to cap it all off, where the waterfall and the river runs is in a bamboo grove, what we call the bamboo sanctuary, that people ask us, did you all curate this area where the bamboo sanctuary is? Because that's where our tent camping is. That's where our healing spaces is. It's the Most High that curated that space. All we did was come and behold and see the possibility. So the space at Kazi is really a vortex. The soil is so fertile. Everything around it is green and lush, right? And so what we only did was, even before we began to build at Kazi, we would go there for 2 years. From 2017 to 2019, when we were in the country, we would come and camp out there 3, 4, 5 days at a time and literally just walk the land. And we did that so the land could speak to us, to tell us how to build, where to build, what to put where. So it really was a divine inspiration and motivation. And big up Brother Masterpiece, who was the original designer, helped co-design, and also Brandon Rogers, a FAMU alumni and a brother who really brought out the full design, working with, you know, the mud bricks, creating the echo domes, using the materials on site, the stones that we would get, the bamboo. So all of this was intentional. And I give thanks that, you know, the family who helped to support us, whether that was through prayers, whether that was through financial donation, whether that was through coming and putting in time and energy. Big up Mama Alicia Blackwood and Baba Wiedemeyer from the African Culture School. They laid some of the first blocks in 2019, Mama Olabisi. Just big up to everyone who helped to bring it forward and bring it into fruition. And we see that, again, as I mentioned, Kwasi, this really is a proof of concept and a model. The idea is that at Kazi, we have every element that we need to sustain ourselves, from our food, our clothing, our shelter, everything that we need, we have on site that we can now utilize and build. So we want to see this scaled up and or scaled down, because one thing that I love to hear is when one say, you know what, this is inspired me to go back to my location to do my own version of Kazi. It may not be to that scale, or it may be bigger, but when you can have those elements, have your own energy, have your own water source, have your own food source, have your own shelter, we can now create this heaven on earth wherever we are and interconnected, because that's really the vision, that this is replicated throughout the African continent, throughout the diaspora, wherever we are. And now we have these bridges. So really see Kazi as that bridge, as this network that can connect us. And this is just the beginning, right? This is phase one even of Kazi. Even at the Institute, this is phase one. And this is also phase one of us now returning home, because we see these as models that now when we engage the African governments, we reach out to the governments and say, hey, we have a cadre of African people throughout the diaspora who want to return home. You have a need for skilled workforce, skilled labor, skilled intellectuals. How can we marry those? And so what we see Kazi as we create them throughout the continent as being landing spaces for those when we come in and when we return to the continent, we have a place to land, to reacclimate ourselves as we now get ready to return and be our rightful place, take our rightful place, and also be contributors to the African continent. So again, this has been a labor of love for over 20 years. There's so many people that have contributed. One, see my face, and I give thanks, you know, that I'm able to be present. I want to make no qualms about it, that it took a team effort. As they say, teamwork make the dream work. And you know, there's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. And honestly, this vision has been the goal and the dream of many, because I would hear ones even come out. There's a sister, big up Sister Tiaji, on the journey. She shared that she had vision 4 years ago. She visioned Kazi before she saw Kazi. And she shared a drawing that she did talking about a place that had a waterfall surrounded by mountain, everything that Kazi had. So we know that this Kazi is not just something that I did. It was actually an actualization of the goal, the vision, and the dreams of those who came before us. So we represent that it's something for us in the past, in the present, and moving forward into the future. And what I do have to say in closing, Kwasi, just in case my internet goes out, one of the greatest joys for me, honestly, is to have my own mother who birthed me, to be there at Kazi working side by side and being the chief servant. She's the board chair of Habasha. She's also the chief servant. She was up at 5, 6 in the morning. She didn't go to bed till 8, 9. She retired. She's a retired teacher since 2020. She could be anywhere sipping on pina coladas anywhere in the world. She chose to put in 10 days straight.
Yes.
10 days straight serving her people. So I just want to big my mother up, Rita Mitchell. I love you, mama. And that's where I get my work, my work ethic, my commitment to my people. But I'm that just made me so joyous to see my mother working side by side, serving people every morning. She was there serving breakfast, lunch, dinner. She was the epitome of service. And that was such a joy for me, really, to have my whole family there. You know, all of my 4 children that are in Ghana were there, my wife. It was really surreal in some ways, and it also was what the work that I put in. And I used to tell my children when they wouldn't see me in Atlanta sometimes and I would be out, I always told them, I said, I'm working now so that when there's a future time to come that we'll be together. So this was a joy on so many levels for Ikwasi. And of course, to have the I there, we've been reasoning about this for years, for decades. So to have the I there that I can call on anytime, you know, the I is there to set the example, the I is there to lead up, you know what I mean? And just the I is a reflection of I. So just give thanks to the I from that time to this time, Kwasi, being right by my side. And really, I say my closest brethren, you know what I mean? Like the I say, we family, you know what I mean? The I's mother's been here to Ghana, you know what I mean? The I family has been here at Kazi, at the HQ. So it really just a full circle moment that took place in October that I won't forget. And we want to see more of those moments in the future. So we truly give thanks.
Yes. Baba Malik, you're no stranger to this work, this Pan-African work. Detroit is not a easy place to mobilize, you know, as one of our battlefields, one of our great black cities that has faced benign neglect here in the United States of America. If you don't know the blackness of Detroit and the history of Detroit and what it means, the Great Migration, the industry, you know, one of the most prosperous black towns before they gutted the industrial base. Give us a historical context in terms of what Kazi represents in the work of for the Pan-African work that you have been an integral part of, and just your personal journey. How would you categorize Kazi in terms of that work?
I would say more and more it's making me think, like, why are we still putting energy into America?
I didn't pay him to say that, family, but he's a Pan-Africanist, so all right, continue.
That's really the thought that just keeps running through my mind. And of course, we have connections here, we have children, sometimes we have parents here, and things that kind of tie us to some degree. But I think it's becoming more and more apparent for those who had any illusion that there was some future freedom for people who identify themselves as Black or African people inside of what we call America. Those illusions are being quickly dashed. And then I think about, I asked Brother Cashawn about the cost of Kazi, and I don't want to say the amount. I don't know if that's public information or not, but what he told me, I thought about. It's like, we just spent like 20 times that amount, building this building in Detroit, and I was like, wow, maybe if we could build 20 Kazis, how does that push our movement forward? So that's really the main thing, that's going through my mind again and again and again, that, I've always known Africa has to be central to the liberation of Black people, but I think we have to really weigh, to what extent we keep putting our mental energy, our money, our resources into building things inside of Babylon, really. So
Yes.
I forgot what question you asked me, but that's what I want to share.
No, you answered it beautifully, but I was just saying in terms of the Pan-African journey, coming from a Black American perspective, because I don't know if you went into your history, but for the audience, your history, your family is rooted in American soil. Is that correct?
Yeah, but the last several generations of my family have been born in what is currently called the United States of America.
Okay, because I just want people, you're not from Jamaica, you're not from the islands, born and bred in Detroit. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm proudly from Detroit. So since you brought that up, let me represent that as I always do. Yes, I was born in Detroit, which has already been said is one of the blackest cities in North America. And so I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud to have been shaped by that, and very proud of the role that Detroit has played in the struggle for liberation of people of African descent throughout the world. But, as a Pan-Africanist, again, I've heard, for the last 50 years, all the theories about Pan-Africanism and all the ideas, and I can quote many of those authors and quote many of the people who gave speeches and, all of that. We know all these things. But the thing is always, trying to figure out how do we put that into action in some real way, not just in some way that sounds good on a PowerPoint presentation, but in a real way that is a reality that people can live within. And so we have an example, it's not the only example, but we certainly have a strong example of one way that can be done. And also I'll end by saying this, that there's a growing trend among so-called African Americans of moving to Ghana, but their reasons for moving for many people have nothing to do with Pan-Africanism. They have to do with seeing the value of the American dollar in Ghanaian society and seeing opportunities to create, as people say, generational wealth for their individual families, or people, building large condos and, trying to bring kind of Western style development as a way of making money. Many people are looking at Ghana as a way of making profit. And so I just want to call that out and say that that's a term, that's a tendency that's disturbing me. And Kazi stands in sharp contrast to that. And we need to make sure that as this growing interest in Ghana and Africa in general develops among so-called African Americans, that we make sure that we continue to ground our people in a Pan-Africanist perspective that's rooted in improving the life of the masses of our people, not creating some, neo-colonial, like we the new masters in town type situation. We don't want to replicate that kind of thing. And I'll finally end like Farrakhan. Farrakhan end 3 or 4 times. So finally, I'll say that I want to big up Cashawn and the staff of Habesha, as has already been said, for the relationship that's been developed with the people and the leadership of Liate Wote. There have been many efforts to relocate African people from the so-called Western Hemisphere into Africa, including one that started in Detroit called Fihankra, and one spot
I remember.
the one spot we went to right there by the bridge on the Volta River. We had a dinner there coming back from Kazi. That brother is in Ghana as a result of his mother being in Fihankra. So Fihankra started in Detroit. I know the people who founded it. In fact, we were all in an organization together in the 70s called the Pan-African Congress. So there's been many efforts to repatriate Black people to West Africa, and many of those have had considerable tension with the indigenous populations. And so I just want to big up again what I saw in real life, in real time, a real relationship that was nurtured over time, right? Cashawn said he's been doing this 20 years. He didn't just like pop up and say, hey, I'm here, I'm getting ready to build something. He intentionally nurtured relationships over time. And also, as he said several times, bigging up Ras Aswad, he's really building on the work that the brethren before him did, right? So that kind of intentionality, though, in building the relationship, I think is part of what makes projects like Kazi sustainable, and it stands in sharp contrast to the kind of exploitive tendency that I'm seeing among many African Americans so-called African Americans trying to move back to Ghana.
Heavy. And I would also say that, even with the death of the king, you see that the love of the community exceeded. It wasn't built on one person in the town. The royal family received us royally, and this is, the relationship was with Mr. Mousy and the king, but it extends way beyond the bonds and being intentional.
Somebody mentioned already the youth working on Kazi's campus, but also I noticed, and I'm sure this is Cashawn's doing, they were sitting in the workshops, right? And so they're not only, I'm sure they're getting paid something, I don't know what exactly, but they're not only earning some economic viability, but they're also being exposed to these revolutionary ideas. And so just it's a wonderful example of how to show up as Africans born in the so-called Western Hemisphere on the continent. And I just want to acknowledge that and big up my good brother and whoever else has participated in making that happen.
Yes.
Mighty. Xola, the first time in Africa after 70 years of treading Naya Binghi, Rastafari, talk to us about, and also coining the term black. The first time I heard black food sovereignty, it came from Xola. I'm going to be honest, Rastafari food sovereignty. Xola turned I into a food person. I just used to eat food. But now, if you are not talking about food and you're talking about black liberation, I know that you haven't really sat and looked at the whole picture. Because if we can't, and once you know that, then it kind of makes all of the other reasonings, you look at them and you say, okay, that's great. But if we can't feed ourselves, we can't even argue about what we disagree on. You know what I mean? Liberation starts with food. Just the basics. And one of the things, for my family in Jamaica, who, most of our Rastafari sites have been severely damaged or completely destroyed. We want to use this episode and Kazi to say, when we rebuild, let us rebuild with working farms, with food forests, with production, so that we can start, because there's going to be a huge food crisis in Jamaica following Hurricane Melissa. A lot of farms were destroyed, damaged, and Jamaica imports, I think, 90% of its food that is consumed by the population. So there's going to be a massive food shortage by this crisis. So I think as Rastafari, we need to get ahead of this. Any spaces that we own collectively should have a working farm. We should be investing in solar. Right now, Jamaica has no power. This is almost 2 strong after the hurricane. My parents, who live in Manchester, have no power. Most places still don't have power. So, when we talk about off the grid, it's not just, a fancy thing. It's a serious thing. So, Xola, give us your thoughts. You chanted about Africa for decades and decades before I was probably even born. The feeling of seeing Kazi and what it means in terms of the overall food sovereign system, or the potential.
Kazi have a interesting blueprint of when we want to look at communities and establish food systems work, specifically as communities. The solar production alone by itself, there's a whole, to see examples of that functioning and also troubleshooting. It was a blessing, for let me see how much number of buildings, the huts, it's 4 different buildings. We have to look at blueprints of solar production for our communities. It's not something that I'm familiar with groups. And the whole piece is, a piece by itself. We had energy straight through, functional. We got to see the blueprint of that. For other communities, as I say, like these young folks excited about the 100 acres in the Ontario countryside. They live in a place like Canada. They're supposed to be able to set up that brap, and have a solar community that's functional. Because, we talk about climate change. We talk about establishing communities in our communities. The kitchen, plant-based kitchen. I love that. That's a blueprint by itself of this is how this is functioning. This is what it takes for 3 weeks of handling guests, and the rooms I stay in with bunks, and every day is a new towel, and everything proper. And as Sister Aisha said, different shea butter, and that's on another level, man. You go in a place, you just get a cheap soap, and that's it. Cheap soap, like at Plush Hotel, it is okay, but in comparison to Cassie, Cassie's like right up there, top of natural selections, vegans are like a vegan paradise, say, you ain't got to worry when they are coming so fast and furious. Now they gotta say, wait, I gotta slow down, because I you don't want to eat too much. And so as an example of excellence, or things that we need to do, as Malik said, like the costs, we're manageable with the wealth that we have, and it being an example I would just love to know that we could maintain it at levels, and let the traffic start to flow. People in Toronto are well excited about coming to Cashawn. People already want to start planning of how they can start, put together the funds to reach 2026, October 2026, second Global Black Food Summit in Binghi, Kasi, that start getting it going, because I don't know anywhere I could say Black folks have something like Kasi. And not only the buildings and the accommodation, but the whole idea of the food forest is very exemplary. As I said, Kwesi in Jamaica, building back with good examples of what needs to be. I could speak about the Binghi grounds wherever, this is what the vitality is about. This is the example. It must just be like just growing food. This must be like an institution on the Binghi grounds. Xola, you name it, all areas of food sovereignty, production wise, and as I say, got places where people could come with tents. So it's a real interesting blueprint that we need to look at how we could duplicate it, so that there's other areas that we could, like we start with community gardens, and then we start with urban farms, and we just moving on levels that's what it is. We're ready to be more sovereign. We're ready to look at that wealth of people of African descent, especially in America, of how we manage our wealth. It's good to see that, happening in New York City, a socialist when the mayoralty, looking more commune, of how we could build commune as a people, as African people. How we manage what we need to manage, collectively. So it's a beautiful thing. And as I said, just being in Ghana, I was able to climb Mount Afajata. And to be at the top of the mountain, when at the top of the mountain, you see the valley, you see the mountain range, and you see the valley in the middle. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to know that, the Africa's children abroad have access to Mama Africa, and the beauty of it, and the welcoming of the people. To be example of the work that we do, and I give thanks that I am a part of this, and just to see the liberty of the different communities, traveling. Travel was like a whirlwind, but it was a beautiful thing. Accra, Cape Coast, Kumasi, come right down through the Adinkra village. What's the name of that village? Cashawn, remember the name of that village?
In Tonso.
Huh?
In Tonso, the Adinkra village.
In Tonso.
Yes,
in Tonso, and then the Kente Clad Museum. There's another village. Yes. The whole, just able to travel in the bus and look at the landscape was a beautiful thing for me. Yeah.
Give thanks. Give thanks. Binghi Sean is gonna be leaving us. It's way up in the hours. So before we hear from our royal queens, I'm gonna just allow the brethren to give us a sealing sound. And just to say, give thanks for all that they I do as an example, and just know, and Sister Aisha can testify to this. We were walking one at a time, and we made a wrong turn, and one of the ladies from the village, she had her baby and thing, and she said, Rasta, Rasta, go around. So, because don't care if Kazi is a Pan-African institution, Habisha is a Pan-African institution, because they see my brethren, Binghi Shan, they see I and I, they see other ones regular. They associate this with Rastafari. We can't get around it. You know what I mean? So the fact that the I has been able to represent this status of excellence, as Rastafari, as an Aya Binghi man, it really give I, inspiration. And I have to always highlight the I, because I want all of our family, especially as brethren, to know that we can achieve great things if we put our mind to it and if we have that discipline and the vision, and we move forward. So just give us some final sounds about heaven on earth, what the mission is, what I see the mission is for I and I right now. World War III is underway. I'm hearing now that Trinidad has mobilized their army. I hear Venezuela say if they're attacked, they're going to attack Trinidad. So we may be on the cusp of chaos in the Caribbean. We have a natural disaster. We have war spreading. We have Kazi. Explain to I, or just give us a final sound on the importance of the work with Kazi, and touch on the healing aspect, because it is a healing space. Habisha could have chose to just do an eco resort, or something that's open to everyone to just come in, but intentionally chose a healing space for people who have gone through the transatlantic slave trade and colonialism. Put it all in context and give us a sealing sound for I and I, please.
Yeah, give thanks again, Kwasi. I do want to just make a special acknowledgement. You might see to my left, to your right, my first daughter, Isla Tarazia, who is the owner of Isla Tasty Treats. So she is a top chef in training. She prepared a lot of the baked goods at Kazi that ones enjoy. So
that's my business manager. That's my business manager.
Yeah, so big up Isla. She came to stay up with me a little bit to keep me up. But that's really the joy for me, though, honestly, that, like I said earlier, that my family was around, right? And not just around, was a part, because for me, I'll just say this too. I study our story, right? And I study out many of our great ancestors, especially many of the great men, like Marcus Garvey, Dr. King, Malcolm X, et cetera, et cetera. And as much as we, laud them for the great works they do, I'm also big on being critical of where could they improve at.
Yes,
because I want to take those examples in my own life. How I can be a better human being and a better person. And the one thing that I've seen that, whether it's Dr. King, Malcolm X, is the aspect of family, right? And many times the family, not intentionally suffers when the community benefits from an individual. We see the Dr. Kings, we see the Malcolm X's. They spend a lot of time away from their family, away from their children. And as a father of 6, our children, we know at that young age, they don't get why Baba can't come and see them at their dance recital, or Baba can't come and do homework with them, or Baba can't tuck them in the bed because you out saving the world. All they know is Baba's not there. You know what I mean? And so how that affects them over the years, we don't take into consideration. So one thing for me that I always vowed, and I'm still balancing it out within my own life, is to make sure that I give that time to my children. And, what I've seen is the best way to do that is not to have my work for my people and then my family. Really to marry those together, that my family has to be a part of that work for my people. So that actually continues the legacy building. So they don't see this like, oh, well, that's what daddy's doing and then I'm doing my own thing. Like, no, they are part of the work. And that's how we continue to build on the legacy. So it was just such a joy for me to see Isla in the kitchen. She was up early too, 5 o'clock. She up early, she out late, she preparing, all the nice baked goods that we have. She's serving people. She's just involved. My son Kamal is there helping and assisting. He's dealing with the AV. So it really was a family affair for and I'm truly, truly grateful for that, because that's something that I've been intentional about. And Kazi really is that healing space. Me personally, even I tell ones now, when I go to Kazi, every time even I go, my own healing and transformation, right? Sometimes it's hard for me to leave Kazi because I'm just in such an element and I just feel the healing energy of the space, the healing energy of the greenery, the healing energy of the environment. And so that was very, very intentional. As the I said, Kwasi, we always said that African people, we need a place and a space that where we can heal and we can be the solutions for any challenges that we have. We need a place for us by us, right? And Kazi is that space. And so I tell people all the time that it's for and by people of African descent. We've had, people of other ancestries want to be come to Kazi, and we respectfully tell them this is for us. It's not that we're discriminated against. We have to, as Mama Desta would always say, we got to put out our own mask before we can put on the mask of others. When you're on the plane and they tell you when your mask come down, put your mask on first, even before your children, right? So we got to put our own mask on first. We got to find the solutions to our problems as African people. Then we can now contribute to the world. So that's what Kazi is for. And we don't apologize for that. We do it with love, first with love of self, right? And then just with love of humanity, because we know, let's be real, African people are the mothers and the fathers of creation. So we have to get our house in order before the rest of the world can. And His Majesty has a word sound that he says, when African righteous people come together, the world will come together. So the world is waiting on us. The world is waiting on African people to get our house in order. And Mama Africa is that house. So that's why I packed up, left America in 2016 and said, I'm putting all my chips in Mama Africa. That doesn't mean that I don't travel, back and forth. We still running Habesha in the United States. We still doing work. I wanted my physical presence to be on the African continent so I can uplift the continent and her people and also be uplifted, right? I feel like I've added some years on to my life by living here in Ghana. I tell people all the time, I done had spotty internet since I've been in this particular interview, but I wouldn't trade that spotty internet for the 6G in America, because guess what? I might have spotty internet, but man, my quality of life is so high. Just the day-to-day interaction, even when it's with police officers. Today, I'm traveling from my car coming up, and they have checkpoints along the way. I'm coming up. I get to one of the checkpoints. The police roll my window down. As I'm rolling my window down, the police, soon as I roll my window down, Ras, and he hold out his hand to give me a fist bump. This is the police, in America. Never think of even, we don't want to be touched by the police. We don't want to have no interaction. It's a whole. We don't realize how psychologically that plays on us when we don't have to have the fear of our life when we see police officers. That's a simple example. But that's one of the reasons why I chose to bring my family to come to Ghana and make this my future, so that generations to come will know the African continent and that they will also be a part of this tide that's sweeping the continent, as His Majesty says. So it's just been a joy. It's been an honor. It's been a labor of love. We just getting started. I feel more energized than ever. I don't feel burnt out. I don't feel frustrated. I know many of the times we feel like, hey, we're not as far as we can be as African people. I disagree with that. We're the only people on earth who've had a whole group of people to conspire against us, and we still have maintained our humanity. We still have been able to progress. So I say that really it's amazing what we've been able to do as African people in the I'm proud of what we've accomplished as a people. That doesn't mean we don't have more to accomplish. No other people could endure what we've endured and still be able to maintain the joy, still be able to maintain the humanity, and still be able to progress. So it's a testament. Kazi is a testament to our people. It's a testament to those who come before us. And it's my life vision to continue to build our Kazi, continue to build more Kazis on the African continent, and of support and inspire others to build Kazi-like institutes throughout the world so that we can have this global linkage of African people. Because again, once we as African people get our house in order, the world will be in order. And until that happens, the world will be in chaos. So I'm encouraged. Give thanks again for all of the family who came to Ghana. We're encouraging more ones to come. Of course, as Zola said, we're going to have the second annual Global Black Food Sovereignty in Binghi in October. That's an ongoing annual event. That's not the only time you can come to Ghana. We want to see our family come. Bring your family, bring your groups, bring youth. That's what we encourage. So anyone who is thinking of coming to Ghana, anyone who's thinking of bringing a family, we do family reunions at Kazi. It's a whole experience that we have. So we want to see more of our family here, because once we come, one thing I heard a lot of ones saying is that being at Kazi in particular and being in Ghana in general was the healing they didn't realize they needed. The healing that they didn't realize they needed. There's so much healing that we get from just being in the space, right? Just being able to be still. And we intentionally, in America, we love our Wi-Fi and our internet. We have one place on campus that basically is like the internet hub. And part of that is for us to deconnect, right? Away from the Wi-Fi, just to be in tune with ourselves. We actually built Kazi how to design. Kwasi, I don't know if you're able to show it again, but Kazi is designed, when you look at it from the drone, it shows the Wi-Fi symbol. The Wi-Fi symbols is two symbols that Kazi represents that have the same symbol, because we're saying those Wi-Fi symbol, the bars and all of those things right here, this particular one, it represents our connection to the Most High and to creation. That's the original Wi-Fi. So we want people to stay in tune and get in tune with the inbuilt Wi-Fi that the Most High has given us, which is ourself, right? And by doing that, we can heal from anything we have, whether it's disease, whether it's anything that we have that's going on with us. When we're in tune with ourselves, the Most High has equipped us with everything we need to heal ourselves. So we use those things around us. So again, we're just grateful to be a servant of the Most High, to be living in these times. I told one the other day that I want to see and will see and be a part of the upliftment and redemption of Mama Africa in my lifetime. I don't have to wait hundreds and thousands of years. It's gonna happen in my lifetime, and I want to be a part of that. So that's my mission, that's my purpose, and I do that every day. I live that every day. My family's a part of that every day, and I'm encouraging my global Black family to also be a part of that and be a part of the mission of Kazi and continue the work that we do to heal from the negative effects of the transatlantic and Arab human trafficking, as well as colonialism, neo-colonialism in all its forms. So again, we're grateful. It is 3 a.m. over here. I do got to get up at 6. So family, much love and much respect. Continue the conversation. Big up to the global family that I see that's chiming in from all over. I see a lot of family who was here in Ghana with us, commenting and sharing with their experiences. We're looking forward to continuing to build. I do also want to make sure I big up Black Sustainability Inc., which was one of the partners for the Black Sustainability Summit and the Learning Journey. Big up Sister Raina, Sister Yema, and the whole crew at Black Sustainability Inc. for the work that they did to bring it the 10th annual Black Sustainability Summit to fruition. And yeah, just big up to all of the ones who were a part of this, our historic, unprecedented experience during the month of October. So again, much love, much respect to all of the panelists. We're looking forward to continuing to build. And then again, much prosperity, strength to the Ikwasi and the family. You know, their daughter and my daughter are both yours. They best friends. They probably was on the phone till about a few minutes ago. They'd be on the phone all night. So it's just a joy, man, just to be a part of the vibes and to be here in Ghana and to welcome our family. So much love and respect to everyone.
Yes. Give thanks, and
Thanks.
also
So much love.
Also, let's big up the National Black Food and Justice Alliance as well, for the support that they also gave to the National Black Food Sovereignty and Binghi, and all of the other partners that made it possible. We're gonna have wider panels where we bring on other aspects, but we had to start with the Ras Tafari vibration. Baba Malik had to leave us. His computer gave some problems, so he sends his love. We're gonna seal. I'm gonna be respectful of people's time, so that
how's
Sister Aisha.
the kitten? How's the little kitten? How's our mascot?
The kitten is still growing. Give thanks.
I love that little kitten. Feisty.
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, vibes the cat.
Sunday is the kitten name. Yeah, give thanks.
Give
thanks.
thanks.
Much love to you, man. So
yeah.
we'll reason up and give thanks again.
Yes, I give thanks. Perfect love.
Yes, Cashawn.
Perfect love. Blessings.
All right, bless you, love.
Give thanks.
All right, so blessing. We're gonna have some final words from our queens, and then we'll have our elder Xola give us the final word sound. I wanna make sure that when I call Sister Scheril and Sister Aisha, they answer my calls and don't say, "This man have me on the internet till 11 o'clock at night time. What am I do?" So I'm very respectful of the time, and I apologize. We're a little bit over time, but give thanks everybody who's watching live. If you're still with us, put where you're watching from in the comment section. Let us know. Remember, we are building an ecosystem, a Rastafari media ecosystem, and we need community support. Join our Patreon, $5, the amount that you take for a cup of coffee. You can support independent Black media. We do want to be able to scale and have staff. We had a nice joke about the Lion Voice Network at the Kazi because I was telling people about my team and they could only see I. But the team is in my heart right now, but I want to manifest that team into an actual staff at some point. So support the platform, join our Patreon, or you can give a super chat. Big up to Ras Roots. Ras Roots is one of our Lion Pride on Patreon, always setting an example. He dropped a $20 tonight. Welcome, honorable guests, to the panel. Big gratitude to the attribution to tonight's reasoning. Give thanks to His and Her Majesty's name. So Ras Roots is our model Lion Pride member. He really supports the platform. I really give thanks. I know you had a question, Ras Roots, about preparation for repatriation. We might not get to that tonight, but we're going to be doing a lot of content around repatriation, preparation, and really going in depth into what it takes. And I'm going to be having guests on that. So we might not answer that question tonight, Ras Roots, but I want to just thank the eye publicly for the eye strength. All right, that out of the way. Final words, Sister Scheril. Then we go to the eye, Sister Aisha, and then we'll seal up with our elder Xola. Give us your final words. Heaven on earth, Kazi. What is the mission? How does, or how do you think EWF can factor into this overall vision?
Well, thank you for having me on this panel. When His Imperial Majesty envisioned, this Back to Africa movement, the invitation from Ethiopia, which at a time, Ethiopia was the entire continent. To be clear, the Atlantic Ocean should be the Ethiopian Ocean. So when he had this vision for a return to Ethiopia, this is what he had in mind as far as, he talked about collective responsibility. He talks about, transitioning from survival. When I spoke at the Black Sustainability Summit, the title of my talk, and I was able to give a short version at the Ras Tafari Mansions of South Florida's coronation event this past weekend. It's about going from survival to sustainability to sovereignty. And through that, you need collective responsibility, you need collaboration, you need a crisis response as a people. So as we're going through this ideation of what we can be, and different visions planted with different people as far as what the future looks like for the Black people of the world, it's really important that these conversations are brought to the forefront so people know that it's not just them who has this great vision for returning in masses and returning as a community and returning as a contributing community. So I think, the Lion Voice Network is so important for having these conversations, specifically in Ras Tafari, but for Pan-Africanists and anyone who's considering the return. I think you taking your time in the slow reveal of the entire trip is going to be very fruitful. So, 'cause even with this conversation and the last conversation we had, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We didn't even talk about, our boat ride to the dam. We didn't even talk about the sacred river. We didn't, there's so many things that we haven't discussed yet as far as the experience. Habesha has a pre-patriation to repatriation program, which I think will be very critical for the Ethiopian World Federation, where before you even arrive, you're going to go through training because, again, Cashawn said that, he loves curriculum design. His mom's a 30-year educator and now is in service and at leadership in Kasi. So we're going to be able to benefit as a people from their experience, their passion, and their vision. And I think a collaboration between the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, where we've always been focused on trade with Africa and repatriation. We went there, we met people who've been repatriated for 40 years. We're just waiting for the rest of us to come, preparing a place for us. They say in my Father's house, there are many mansions, and I go to prepare a place for you. That's what the early repatriates have been doing. And they're sitting there, not sitting there, they're busy there preparing for us. So these are the types of programs. One, designing the curriculum, training people so that they know how to arrive and how to arrive with dignity and how to arrive in fellowship with those Africans who are at home. For us as diasporans, we have to approach it in a very respectful manner. But then also beyond the education that needs to happen, we did need an example. Even the most Pan-Africanists of us, we needed that example. We needed that prototype. So that's the seal on our individual vision that it can happen, it can be achieved, and it can be harmonious. That's the other thing. Can we live together? Can we get along together? Can we be in harmony? And Kasi also demonstrates that not only can we be in harmony together, we can be celebratory of each other and cheering for each other on our front in the front row. So I'm very excited for my members of the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated that are going to encounter this Kasi experience. We've discussed memorandums of understanding so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel when we have this model that's here. So it's very exciting times. I'm especially proud and pleased for Ras Cashawn, for you as Ras Kwasi and Rashawn being on a journey for 20 years. Some people give up, 10 years in, 5 years in. You guys been on this trot, it's 20 years in, and you're starting to see the fruit of your labor. The opportunities you've created through Kasi for other people, whether they were at home or abroad. We always talk about the opportunities for the villagers who are living, who are working at Kasi. But we also met Ras Sharif, who is American, who found this great opportunity on the continent, and it changed his life. He never went back. Once he's the operations manager at Kasi. Brother Jacob, from Jamaica, found his opportunity in Ghana, hasn't looked back. Those are the experiences that we're going to create, where those are the stories that are going to be told. I was reading an article about the oral history of Native Americans in Montana, and that their oral tradition had them saying, we've been here for 18,000 years. And other people were doubtful, but when their DNA was tested, it validated the oral tradition that they had in fact been in Montana for 18,000 years. Their oral tradition is more valid and more valid than the written text about their history. And that's what we're bringing here. We're coming together as Africans at home and Africans abroad with this common shared history of strength, of warriorhood, of royalty, regality, and we're bringing it home. And we're saying we have been here for however many thousands and thousands of years, and we still can be taken from this land, brought back, and be productive and be harmonious and achieve great things and praise and magnify Jah. So the best days are ahead of us, not in our rear view mirror. And I look forward for us as champions, as the Ethiopian World Federation in coalition with Habesha, in coalition with the Association of Ras Tafari Creators, in coalition with the RMO, in coalition with the CRO. I'm going to say in coalition with the Ras Tafari Mansions of South Florida. All of the organizations, even looking at the Islamic, the Nation of Islam, hand in hand with them, because that's our home. That is our home. Everything that we think about when we think about home, when we think about the continent, we should have that feeling as far as that is our home, and we will return and we will be victorious. So for these few words, I give thanks, but give thanks to His Imperial Majesty for having the vision of saying, come home. I'm going to show you one that you are always royal. Into antiquity, you were always royal. So whatever they're telling you here is not the truth. And two, forming the Ethiopian World Federation with our Constitution of 1937, so that we know, and it's written, that we have an identity with Africa. We have an identity with Ethiopia. And if we have no home anywhere else, we have a home in Africa. So we give thanks for His Imperial Majesty and his vision, Dr. Malik Bayen, Princess Dorothy Bayen, for the gift of the Ethiopian World Federation, and the fact that in these times we get to work with all of these Ras Tafari, Pan-African, Islamic, Muslim, Christian, all the organizations, and know that at the end of the day, we're Africans, we're Ethiopians, and that's what matters when we meet each other here or on the continent. What matters is we are one, we are Africans. And we are Africans, not Africans. So let's African as we transition and we move ourselves over to Africa. Give thanks.
Give thanks. Give thanks. And the Ethiopian World Federation Constitution, it says that this entity is to help to save us from annihilation and to carve out a place for us in the sun. And I mean, which to me is so profound that His Majesty would use that language for an institution created for the Black peoples of the world. I had one of my Lion Pride ask Guy, because I declared something for the Black people of the world. He said, but Rastafari is every nation, kindred, and tongue. Don't you mean every nation? And I say, the root is very important, for the fruit. To have the fruit, to have the branch, the root has to be strengthened, the root has to be there. So His Majesty, although he said that black or white should not be things that we use to identify, that's an aspirational sound. We know that 1937, there was an institution set for the Black peoples of the world because we were under attack. And we needed a vehicle that would help us to reach that aspirational vista. And so, that is why on this channel, I said I wanted to make it Rastafari and Pan-African intentionally because we have to feed the root of the movement, which is being, neglected. You know what I mean? I can say that is being neglected. So we really give thanks for the EWF, and we're going to continue to uplift the EWF. And I pray that this can be a useful platform for the global EWF family to get out different works, and you'll be seeing a lot more of that as we move forward. All right, Sister Aisha.
It's already been useful.
Yes, give thanks. Sister Aisha, give us your final sounds, reflections, comments. Please give us your sealing blessings.
Yes, give thanks. I want to briefly say, growing up, it was said that he who has the gold rules. We've quickly come to realize it's he who has the food rules. And global Black food sovereignty is the key. And when we look at Black food sovereignty, each one of us as African people has to know where our food comes from, how to grow our food organically or naturally. We have to know the cultural traditions surrounding food. We have to know the technology of food and even the economics of food, because food is power, adding value to food, preserving food, those type of techniques. So the skills that's needed, and through women and children, like my organization, the Virginized Women in Agriculture Association, we have to work to create that pipeline of next generation agriculture professionals or people who can support the industry, and we must work together to support the youth. So with all this at Kazi and everything we said, and when it comes down to it, we really have to sustain this amazing work we're doing by preparing the next generation to continue that work. And it's Jah, Rastafari's, Selassie, excellence that they have to emulate. And we give thanks for the opportunity to discuss this. And I look forward to continuing this work with I working together to build capacity. Give thanks for these words. Rastafari, live it.
Rastafari, give thanks for the time, your wisdom, and your approach and inspiration. I always say when I first met the I was advocating that the youth them come to the Naya Binghi, and you did make the youth them come to the Naya Binghi in St. Croix, and we had a fascinating reasoning hearing from, just the children of Rastafari, what they want to see or what their impression is, and I really thank the I for that. Left a very strong impression. I tell Sister Aisha she can't get rid of I now. And I call her, and she's the co-chair of the ITAL subcommittee, and we just been working ever since. So it really is an honor to have the Sister Aisha. I just want the know that. And we're looking forward to greater works, because there is so much work to be done. Finally, the African, you say African, you have to talk about Ras Xola. You know what I mean? Ras Xola as our great ancient 70 plus. You know what I mean? This is a divine number, divine decade that the eye is entering. Give us some sealing sounds, words of wisdom that I can sip up. Any final thoughts on Kazi reflections? And as the man who coined the term Black food sovereignty, to my knowledge, I don't know who else came up with it, but that's the first person I heard with it. Where do we go from here?
I give thanks to be on the Lion Talk. As Rastafari, we come a long way. The ages, and just to legitimize I myself that I have something that's special. Like when I walk in the footsteps of Kadamari Haile Selassie and Empress Menen, that's royal trad that the whole world witness, that is love we just deal with. I give thanks that the work sign I do as Ital Liberty. Like for me, Kazi is an Ital village. It's a kind of how ones want to look at it. I wear the hats of Rastafari, but I wear the hat of a Pan-Africanist involved in Black food sovereignty work. And I like to say I come to spread the gospel of Black food sovereignty, because the idea is new of people really understanding when we talk about Black food sovereignty. There is a whole new way how we look at what we do, with being intentional. For a good while was people was talking about food security, but food security is being co-opted by multinational corporations who bigger than governments now. It's corporations making decisions for people's lives, millions of people. So the idea of Black food sovereignty, of people of African descent, defining our sustainable food system. When we talk about a sustainable food system, we talk about everything to do with food. So Cassie is a good example, and bringing together I and Cassie is with so much love, with all the different skills, like the esquires, like the teachers and the educators. You know, we bring a lot of skills together, and it was a blessing to see ones from different institutions. Most of us work within sustainable food systems. I give thanks that we could come together and just have the conversation. What is Black food sovereignty? What is the ITIL certification? I know we haven't spoken a lot about that, and as this channel is Rastafari in a fullness. For the first week at Kasi, we were having conversations on the laws of the ITIL diet. And that is foundational, just like how Jewish people talk about kosher and Islamic people talk about halal. Rastafari talk about the ITIL liberty, the ITIL certification. So it was a very good conversation among us, you know what I mean, setting out this pioneering work of looking at ITIL certification, whether it be food or whether it be cannabis. We're looking at making sure that we set standards, that you won't use things like blood meal and fish emulsion, you know, when we're looking at food production. So we're looking at very high standard and making sure that projects like CASI contribute to the development of Africa. We have things that we bring in from the West that is beneficial for sustainable food systems development. And CASI is a good example. Be able to have, you know, solar powered institutions that is big. It's a big example of what we need to look at. So in sealing up, I give thanks that we could gather. For me, it was 3 weeks. For some folks, it was 2 weeks. Serious reasoning on the ITIL liberty, on Black food sovereignty and sustainability, Black sustainability. That is a power pack of a 3 weeks of gathering and having good conversation. So as I said earlier, I'm looking forward for next year, 2026, Global Black Food Sovereignty in Binghi, and more celebrations. Hopefully we could be there, and I'd like to know I could be there sometimes to have some teaching assignments on agriculture with Sister Aisha. For me, the big thing about learning farms, about food forests, we got a lot of work to do, and we got a lot to share. So with the powers of the Almighty, Kalmawi Haile Selassie and Empress Menen, I give thanks that we sojourn together, you know, maybe learn from each other, and we can continue to be linking with each other, networking, and doing bigger things. One love, Rastafari.
Rastafari, if thanks. Thanks, Ras. Ayola.
I think you unmute. You unmute. Line voice. I hear you.
We're not able to hear you. So he had to call in some of his staff to help with the technical difficulties.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Thank you to your assistant for clearing the difficulty.
You saw the staff come in?
Yeah.
So we give thanks. There you have it, family. We had a power pack panel tonight. You will see these guests in various capacities. I hope that you see that we're building a community, an ecosystem. I hope that you see the value of Rastafari, independent, non-aligned media, having our own conversations, you know, focusing on what we choose to focus on. We could choose to just focus on the destruction in Jamaica, but we're saying no, even though we will bring all of that information. We have a lot of content we're going to be bringing forward on the recovery. However, we have to keep focused on repatriation, on the building of heaven on earth, because Babylon is trying to manifest hell on earth, which is war, continual war as a business model. We're saying that the manifestation of heaven on earth is a better business model, sustaining, growing food, you know, producing things that heal, that help, that uplift. These are the mission of I and I as Rastafari and Pan-African, and we're going to do it here. So join our Patreon, support the platform, become an active member of our growing community, and let us make a difference. Why? Because the time has come for the lions to tell our own story. And this is the lion's voice. Give thanks and praises.
Thanks,
Warrior King, and the time has come for the lions and the lioness to tell their own story. This is the lion's voice. Give thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the powers to chant. Jah give her the powers to chant. Rastafari, the lion's voice.
This is Mama Thee of Asli Pure, and when I want to hear the story from the lion and the lioness, I listen to Lion Voice with Ras Tafari.
Greetings, this is Ras Tafari. The time has come for the lions to tell their own story. See? This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir? Ras Tafari said that. Are you satisfied? Wipe those tears from your eyes. Up all alone, still you thought I was telling a lie. This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir?
Marking them so you know. What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the lion's voice.
Yes, job people, this is Michael Shemai representing. I will say, hear the lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari live it. Hey, the lion's voice. Rastafari.
Alright, listen to me now, people. The lion roar, no dog bark. See? The lion's voice with Kwasi Bansu. Time right now for the lion to tell his story. See? Listen up.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up Lamb's voice. Now put it, I Jalifa said that.
Yeah, now the time has come for the lion to tell his own story. Yeah, the one them called Celestial I represent for the mighty lion voice. And this a shook up your planet tectonic. As me sip up my roots and tectonic. And you can't make me jump nor get panic. Have the engine a run like mechanic. Room.
I will never stop, hail the Most High, and I will never stop, call Ras Tafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Ras Tafari.
Yeah, David Dread of Steel Person. I'm saying hail to the lion voice because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here. Hear me now. Oh, yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the light. Lion voice.